November the 12th, of course, is the Paddy Power Gold Cup, and here to dissect the runners and riders for Cheltenham Showpiece. I'd like to say I'm joined by the Ante-post Graham Rodway, and for the Racing and Football Outlook we have Nick Watson. So Nick, as intriguing as ever this handicap. Mon Parin heads the market around the 11-2 mark. Made a lot of people sit up and take note with his awesome jumping last season. He's been hyped up as the next superstar. He's priced up perhaps as though he's going to be one. Around the 11-2 mark, what's your take on him?
Yeah, I haven't quite bought into the hype yet, Ted, to be honest. Yeah, you were right to allude to his jumping last season. Absolutely fantastic. Two of the most difficult jumping courses in the UK, Sandown and the Grand National Fences at Aintree. I didn't notice a mistake at all. Looked absolutely superb in that department. The gripe I've got with him, it's not really a gripe, it's just an observation, is the fact that the Sandown race wasn't the greatest it ever run. He beat Apple a Day, who has no pretensions to being particularly good. It was a very winnable race. And then, of course, we went up to Aintree, looked for all the world as though he's going to win. Jumped the last brilliantly, went to the front, and you think, well, you go away and win comfortably now, even win it on the bridle, possibly. That didn't happen. The impossible happened, and Always Waning came sailing past him. And Mon Parin just seemed to stand still and didn't find anything at all. That was surprising. I didn't see that coming at all. Just puts a bit of a question mark in my mind here. Yeah, his jumping is going to keep him up there, but there's going to be a lot of strength in depth in this race. There's some very good horses in it. So this really is the acid test for him. It's by far his hardest task to date. He's obviously off a higher mark now for because he showed his hand in that Sandown race. So he's got to prove that he is going to be a superstar. And yeah, his jumping will keep him there, but would he be able to battle up the hill? That's my query. Okay, well, Graham, I mean, it's an interesting viewpoint here because on what he's actually achieved on the racecourse, you could say 152 is a stiff enough mark, but at the same time, the vibes are this could be a Grade 1 horse, so the Grade 1 horse could be already in the mid-160s. He could be a stone well in here.
Yeah, I think he's very exciting. Well, the first thing that caught me was when he had this gallop
at Exeter.
Yeah. You got Courto Star, Gold Cup winner twice over. You got Big Bucks, probably the best staying around, and then Mon Parin. Just to me, it didn't make any sense having two absolute champions and then Mon Parin up with them, unless Paul Nicholls thinks himself that maybe Mon Parin might make that sort of grade eventually, and I would suggest maybe he thinks he does. Last season, I was very impressed with his jumping. As Nick says, I don't think I've seen an horse jump as well as he did around Aintree. He was absolutely breathtaking at almost every fence, and he travels well, and he's absolutely perfect horse that I look for. I like to see horses that jump well and get into a rhythm over fences. I think it's very important. You know yourself, if you go out running over long distances, if you get into a nice rhythm, it makes things easier. So I do think a strong travelling horse like himself, who jumps well, will definitely be able to hold a good position in the Paddy Power, get into a good rhythm, and I think he'll definitely be there coming to the final fence. The problem is, Nick has already alluded to, is that he was outrun by Always Waning at Aintree.
It was giving him a stone and a half, wasn't it?
Giving him a lot of weight, yeah. But even so, I don't like to see an horse it looked like the engine shut off.
Connections
suddenly.
were mystified, yeah.
Completely odd. And you're talking about the Cheltenham Hill. There's a lot of horses that we say don't get up the hill, certainly don't get up the hill as fast as some others do, after travelling strongly. And just on pure visual impressions, the way that Mon Parin cut out there, you just get the feeling if he can't win the Paddy Power on the bridle, is he going to win it?
Right. He does look a stronger horse and a lot bigger, judging by his Exeter gallop.
Don't get me wrong, I think he's a massive potential, and he could turn out to be different class to them, and he will be there coming to the final fence, but I think he's short enough at 11-2.
Okay, so we'll pass him over then from an Ante-post perspective. We can make a case for any number of these, Nick. One runner we must quickly touch on is Divers, or Divers, whichever way you like to go. Ran a baffling race on his return when pulled up. All the vibes before that were that he's going to be a strong contender for this. Nonetheless, he's still here at 14-1. Ferdy Murphy doesn't seem overly worried by his ring-rusty run. And what's your take on him?
No, and they haven't pushed him out that much in the betting either, suggesting that, not too worried about things and he'll show a lot better at Cheltenham. I've got to say, it wouldn't sit easily with me were this the horse to win, because I can accept a horse running third or fourth, being beaten 20 lengths if you need the run, but having shown something and then just getting tired over the last couple of fences and being allowed to come home in your own time, that's fine. But Divers didn't do that at Carlisle. He was actually pulled up. He didn't finish the course. He was quite a way behind from an early stage, didn't show anything. So if he was to come from that to then winning one of the most competitive races in the calendar, I've got to say, I'd be baffled by it. He can do that one day and then turn up at Cheltenham and then beat all these.
He's got good form from last year, of course.
Obviously, yeah. I mean, he was pretty near the top of my list before that Carlisle run, but I just find it extraordinary how you can reconcile the difference between the two horses. And, you know, if he did bound up the Cheltenham Hill and win quite comfortably, they should have a stewards about that last run, I think. But no, I mean, the other point about Divers that I think is a worthy one is that when he won the Centenary, he likes to travel at the back and then come through horses, thread through the eye of a needle. Graham Lever had a fantastic race on him at Cheltenham. You do need a bit of luck to bring off those tactics, especially in a rough and tumble 2.5 mile chase like this. You need all the gaps to appear at the right time. You need to meet every fence spot on so you don't lose more ground, and you don't need to be balked by horses in front of you. So tactics are going to be interesting on Divers. He's going to need a good run through.
You need good ground as well.
He probably needs good ground, yeah. And you know, if you wipe off that Carlisle run, then he's got a fantastic chance. But I've got that in the back of my mind now, and I don't know how anyone could sensibly support him on the back of that.
Okay, then. Well, I mean, looking at the rest of the runners, wishful thinking obviously is going to have a lot of weight here. But there's an Irish challenger called Noble Prince that took his scalp at Cheltenham Festival last March, and you think he could be the one to be on here?
Yeah, definitely. I think Paul Nolan's still sort of humming and hahing about whether to run him or not because he thought it might come a bit close to his Nace run last weekend. But the point about that, the Nace run was a 3-runner race. I think he was 3s on or very, very short price to win it. And he had a little more than a school round. That should have got his eye in nicely. And I can't believe that's taken the edge off him. If anything, it should have put the edge on him for his next assignment, which should be this race. Like you said, he won at Cheltenham last season in very good style, beat Wishful Thinking quite comfortably. And that was off level weight. So getting £4 off Wishful Thinking now, who was a pretty much intended runner, I believe, then there's absolutely no reason why you shouldn't take a chance. He's come over here and obviously proved that Cheltenham suits him, doesn't mind travelling over. So there's absolutely no reason why he shouldn't run here. And yeah, he's a class horse, he's a graded performer.
14 to 1.
14 to 1. I think you can still get it in 1 or 2 places now. I think it's shorter with a lot of bookies now. If that's still available, that's double the price of Wishful Thinking.
Yeah.
And yet he's better off at the weight. So out of the two, why would you not go with Noble Prince?
Okay, well, yeah, very valid argument there then, Nick. This time last year, Graham, Nicky Henderson had this race sewn up in many people's eyes with Long Runner Mad Max. A little bit quieter this time around, but there's one I'm quite keen on. I know you are very keen on, who always goes well fresh, and that's Dave's Dream, who could be quite a big price around the 20 to 1 mark.
Yeah, I think Dave's Dream is probably the value in the race at this stage. I just like this horse. I think he's got a massive amount of talent. It always sticks with me the way he won that Imperial Cup a few years ago at Sandown. And then he ran nicely on his novice chase debut. I think it was at Huntingdon, won quite well and didn't go on. And then last season won nicely, first time out at Cheltenham over 2 miles, a trip that would have been short for him, but won so easily that day, was always in control of the race, and then disappointed next time.
There's a trend there, isn't there?
Yeah, without doubt, he's best first time out, and he hasn't run since last December, so that's obviously a big plus. He was actually sent off favourite that day, I think, for the Gold Cup.
Sports, yeah. He's had a breathing operation since as well. So
yeah, breathing up since. Just from a pure sort of talent point of view, I just think Dave's Dream has got as much talent as some of these at the top of the weights, but at the moment he's in on 10.3. If Pocklin does run, and if Pocklin doesn't run, it'll go up £6.
£6, yeah.
With Wishful Thinking possibly carrying top weight, it'll go up to 10 stone 9. That's just such a great weight for a horse of his talent, I think. There's loads of others that I like in the race. There's nothing really that I dislike, to be honest with you.
It's very tricky, isn't it?
Makes a change.
Yeah.
Wishful Thinking, I think, is a massive player. I've got 2 problems with Wishful Thinking. The first one being that I think he goes off a bit fast, and he's going to be hassled up front. And the second one being that I think he's a bit better on a flat track. I mean, I know he's won at Cheltenham, but he looked absolutely awesome at Aintree last season, and I think he's a fantastic prospect for the season, but I would fancy Noble Prince to beat Wishful Thinking.
Return form, yeah.
Especially getting £4
Yeah.
at a track where he's already beaten him. I think Noble Prince is the best of those two. If it runs, that's the one thing, Watsy, I would say. There's a big doubt about it running.
Yeah, they're still thinking about it. So
Yeah, but if Paul Nolan does run it, he doesn't have many runners in England picks and chooses, and that would be a tip in itself if Nolan runs it. And there's just one other race that I think is absolute key to the race and could throw up winner, is obviously the De Veers race.
Centenary from
Centenary,
Ross,
in which De Veers won. Quantitative Easing was second, Tullamore Dew was third. The one I actually like of them, I kind of De Veers after that pulled up run, it would be definitely terrible if it won after that. Most punters would deserve to be refunded their bets, I think. Quantitative Easing I don't like that much, but Tullamore Dew run nicely first time out. Finished fifth behind the Giant Bolster, who was fourth in a hurdle race. But I think Tullamore Dew will return that form because Tullamore Dew, I think, might have needed to run a bit more than the Giant Bolster.
Big horse, isn't he?
The Giant Bolster very much goes well fresh. So I'm quite surprised that David Bridgewater didn't take him straight there, rather than have that run over hurdles. And maybe Bridgewater thinks they'll bring him on. But from our perspective, the Giant Bolster is all she wants fresh. So I think Tullamore Dew will reverse that form. And that's the biggest danger out of those three. So, yeah, I mean, if I could have 3 picks in the race, we'd be talking about
Don't get too
Dave's
greedy.
Dream, Noble Prince and Tullamore Dew. But at the prices, Dave's Dream's the biggest price of the lot, and I think he's the value bet.
Okay, so Dave's Dream for you there, Graham. Very quickly, and Nick, is there anything left field? I mean, we've only mentioned the top 6 in the market here. There's anything at massive price lurking, or are you happy to stick with the Irish Challenger pool?
Yeah, there isn't anything at big prices, to be honest with you, Ted. There normally is in this kind of a race, but I think there's a lot of strength at the top end of the market here. Wishful Thinking is such a solid horse. And Noble Prince is too. I think we've mentioned the likely winners. I'd be surprised if it came from something else.
Okay, so Noble Prince for Nick then. We're going for a Dream for Dave for Graham. And while I'm convinced Mon Parin is a superstar, but each way I have to say Dave's Dream is a great long shot. So thanks for watching and see you again soon.